This is IA Forward, your playbook for success as an independent insurance agent. Now, here to help you knock it out of the ballpark are your hosts, Shane Tatum, Mike Basil, and Tanya Lead.
Welcome to IA Forward. I just want to let you know this is an episode sponsored by a tremendous number of distractions. So Shane is trying to change a tire remotely. Mike has something going on outside his window that has to do with skid marks. And Shane made me cry like 10 minutes ago because of these messages he was sending out about being this really amazing dad and trying to work to get a flat tire changed, which reminded me of my dad. So there we go.
Okay. Let's back up.
I didn't hear skid marks.
A little bit.
I did not hear skid marks, by the way, but okay, let's go there first.
What I've got going on over here is, the Progressive commercials where, you turning into your dad. And so I'm sitting here like, I see there's two dump trucks and a skid loader.
Oh, a skid loader.
Right
okay, that's not what I heard.
Parked across the street. They're about to start on something. And I feel like I want to go out there and, just, hey, what do you got going on over here?
Absolutely. I think that's completely fair and probably worth skipping the podcast for. Like in my book, like there's way more interesting things going on outside your window right now. Just
yeah. Or you could take the phone outside and talk to the guys.
Yeah. You could do that.
Because with our topic today, we could find out all sorts of things from the guys creating the skid marks across the street.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how amazing I'm being, thanks for the credit, but you could it's my wife's flat tire. So it's really husband, right? For all, let's clear the air a little bit. And we've got some roadside assistance going on, but I'm getting the text because I'm the account owner, even though Julie's a member, right? And so I don't know why they're not texting her because she did the chat call-in thing. They're texting me. And so now I'm in the position of relaying text for the driver or the tire changer, roadside assistance guy. Anyway, so we've got a lot. I mean, I don't know if we're going to see if we can make some kind of sense today, but it's okay if it's okay if we're a little distracted, maybe.
Very good. It's okay. That's good.
It's okay. It shows the human side of us.
There we go.
So speaking of that, real quick before we start, I know our topic is, where do you find clients? Okay, fine. But this is important to me.
And that's not even our topic, but go ahead.
It's not even our topic, man. You didn't even read the memo.
I need to have a cathartic baby time tantrum right now about customer service. So this weekend, I placed 2 phone calls that both went disastrously. So if this is what your agency looks like when someone calls in, you need to make some modifications. The earlier in the weekend, I called a hotel to change a reservation for this fall. So, I go through the nonsense of finally getting to the extension that gets you to reservations because, of course, that isn't always uncomplicated. Person picks up, this is in the South. Person picks up the phone. Hi, can I put you on hold? Of course. Sure, no problem. Puts the phone down, never puts me on hold. Then I hear, girl, and she goes into a 15-minute conversation with someone that has nothing to do with work. Then proceeds to come back and say, oh, sugar, I can't really even help you with this. A manager needs to do this. I'll leave your phone number with them and they'll call you back.
Oh, that's fun.
And then, of course, no one called me back.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number 2 was yesterday. My little guy wasn't feeling great. Of course, the doctor's office isn't open, so we just went to one of the quick care, media care places, And at the end, they're like, yeah, you need some antibiotics. Not a lot of choices here for pharmacies that are open, but they gave me a list of like 5. I said, I really don't care. I just picked the top one. So I go over there, and of course, the pharmacy is sealed tight. So I go back to my car. I sit down in the car. I call back the place that we had gone to, and it starts with an AI assistant.
Good, fun.
So I'm trying to answer the questions, but this isn't like this is not a typical situation that the AI assistant would understand. So finally, I'm getting to the point where it's talking, and I'm just saying, person, send me to a person, and it's still doing its thing. Finally, I get to a person. Hi, please hold.
No.
Sure, no problem. Puts me on hold. At least I'm on hold this time. So I'm sitting on hold for about 7 minutes, 8 minutes. Yes, I did just stop myself because I was going to say 2 different numbers. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm still on hold, and I'm less than 5 minutes away from this place. So I drive there, still on hold, park my car, still on hold, walk in the front door, I'm still on hold. The person is just sitting there that had answered the phone.
Good time.
Wow.
Fun.
So I hang it up. I say, hi, I was in about 30 minutes ago. And the pharmacy you sent me to is closed.
Well,
come on now. We do better.
Yeah.
Do better.
Now, here's the thing that I want to point out real quick is you had 2 incidents, but you made a very clear statement that incident number 1 started in the South. But you did not make clear reference that incident number 2 happened in the North.
Well, so the only reason I pointed that out was because of the verbiage that was used. And no one's going to call me sugar.
Yeah, this is true.
Above the Mason-Dixon line.
Fair enough. I just wanted to give.
So I just have to ask: is this in Texas?
No.
Is this a hotel? Okay, because there's a hotel in Texas that we have some events at. That one time I called to make a reservation, and that happened, and the guy was having a flirty conversation with a female and thought he had put me on hold and had not. And then when he realized that, he was slightly mortified that, that he said that to a customer as opposed to the girl he thought he was having a conversation with.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
That's fun.
Yeah. That one's in East Texas.
Yeah. Well, he was talking to his cousin.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Speaking of talking to your cousin, I'm going to use that as our lead in to our topic, which, Mike, is not how to get customers, but instead how to find an independent insurance agent. So we know that people see the British Lizard on TV, they see Flo, the progressive chick, all of the things. If they are watching a State Farm commercial, they know how easy it is to find a State Farm agent. If they are watching an Allstate commercial, it's pretty easy to find an Allstate agent. But there are not a lot of TV commercials, radio commercials, whatever, to tell people how to find an independent agent. So how do people find us?
Yeah, this is, I saw this topic and I was like, this is not a good topic. Like, it's a great topic, but it's not a good topic for we have the answer. And
I thought you were going to say you were going to run out of words.
No.
And I was like,
no, I'm not going to run out of words. Yeah, I'm not running out of words. I'm
y'all, I'm sorry to interrupt. So last week I worked more remotely. I was at I was in Orlando at the Gaylord and met with one of my husband's coworkers at a dinner. Y'all, when I tell you the number of words, this person made Shane sound mute, very shy, very quiet. Like, I have never heard that many words in a 2-hour conversation before, ever in my life. I mean, I had to like decompress for an hour and a half after dinner.
Well, I accept the challenge, and we'll see what I can do from here on out to make sure I don't lose that comparable.
Well, you're gonna have to speed it up. Let me just tell you.
Well, I'm not speeding anything up. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, you got to go teenage girl speed if you're going to beat that. It sounds like.
I can't do it. But I think this topic is hard. Like, this is the one area of weakness of the independent agency system. If we look through it, we look at it through the same lens that we look at the big brands. Okay. I think we have to change the lens that we look at. We can get into that. I think how we find an independent agent is just different. Right. And there's some reasons for that. And we can dive into that. But the number one, not a single independent agency on the planet is going to spend on the ad level at the same rate, the same size as the large direct writers, exclusive writers, etc. Right? It's never going to happen. There's not enough pie. There's not enough money in the pie. The pie is not big enough for an independent agency of a single org to spend that much money. Right? Now, we could do it collectively. We've been down that road for 50 years. We failed at it miserably. We can't all agree on a path forward. And so I think it's at the place where the carriers have said, you know what, we're not going to fund that anymore. And I think that's why Trusted Choice has kind of gone a different place. I think that's why ad spending as an association has dissolved pretty much, because it just isn't a good step forward on how we find independent agencies.
But I think all I can do is speak for myself, right? Before I purchase anything, one of the first things I always do is ask people that I trust what they use or what they've bought in the past. If it's a product, did you buy this? Did it work well for you? You know, if it's something like this, hey, is your agent someone that you trust with this, or would I want to go in a different direction? And that's the easiest thing, because that costs $0. And all that requires is you doing a good job for the existing client base that you have.
Okay. I think that's how we should get back into it, Mike. I think you should ask the question.
I can't promise that won't happen again.
Oh, no, it's fine.
So you want me to start over with?
No, I think that was good. What you did,
okay.
You said.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So Mike, you want to do what you just said with the beeping so we can go back to that distraction?
Can anybody hear the beeping outside? Because like this is a true test of me right now. Like, my attention span is not good to begin with, and now it's like this is big time test.
So
I feel like I need those things they put on horse. I don't really watch horse racing, but I know they put those blinders on them, so they're like there.
Yeah, that's what you need.
Like it.
What you need, because you really want to go out there. You really want to find out what's going on. Well, if it helped you, every man on the planet would want to go out there and find out what's going on.
And my thought is just, I don't want to get dirty.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we got to go.
so where do consumers find independent insurance agents? That's where we are. That's where we are. And, Google searches are one, right? We hop on Google, we search. I think that when I looked this up a while back, and it was insurance near me, cheap car insurance was number 2, homeowners insurance plus your town, and business insurance near me were the 4 top Google searches looking for insurance.
Yeah, and I think, and I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I think there's information that's come out about Google search is up, search revenue's up, even in the early stages of AI. And people talk about, well, I don't even use Google anymore, or I don't even use search anymore. I just go to my AI tool. And
but your AI tool is using Google.
Exactly. So AI is just going to enhance search. And so,
right.
I go back to, independent agencies, and I think our audience is, I'll define that a little further. We know that we're talking to the 85%, maybe even higher, of independent agencies across the country that are under $1 million in revenue, right? And so we know that this really large percentage of agencies are local, right? It's about your local community. It's about, we had a podcast about, multi-state non-resident license things a little while back, and we kind of landed with this. Insurance is local. This is still important. I think that's why. What's it called, Tanya? Correct me. Geo search, like the whole map, Google Map. Maybe I don't necessarily want to go here with insurance, but like Yelp. I mean, I that's like a restaurant thing, but I don't really like the insurance play there. But I like your Google business listing.
Yes.
Right. I think that's really, really important here. I think that where I get information, I get a copy of that. I get information about our locations in East Texas, and it's pretty amazing how many people are finding us through that resource. Mm-hmm. And I think number one, that's a really great place to start.
And it's free.
It's free. And for the purpose of those that have an office, have a location, and pretty much everyone is going to have some kind of business location, right? I mean, you have to do that for things like LexisNexis, where, carriers are using that on the personal line side for reporting. And so you've got to have this address. So you might as well use that to make it so much easier for you to be found. And you can fill out that information. I mean, look, it's kind of like, it's kind of like technology for dummies, in my opinion, because like when I look at that and fill that out, like it's not that difficult to complete, your hours of operation, to, set that up. Now, I'm not saying it's that simple to create the thing. I'm just saying
that's why I'm smirking over here, because Shane hasn't had to do this recently.
No, Tanya did this, and look, it's not necessarily just like easy to create, but it's super is easy to edit. My experience comes from editing, changing holiday hours, whatever, right? And I've even done some of that myself. Just, I'm not going to send this to Tanya or send this somewhere else to Melissa. I'm just going to do it. I'm right here on my phone. Why not? And so I just think that's a huge starting place, though. Your web developer, your website manager can probably do this if you don't feel comfortable with it.
Sometimes they're very easy to create. Sometimes it's a little bit of a pain in the booty, honey. You may have to create a video. You may have to send in a copy of your business license. There's usually something that's going to make it just a little wonky. And it usually takes 2 to 3 weeks if there's something odd that pops up. And I am totally convinced that has to do with what mood the person on the other end of the Google is having that day, because I've done it where it was really easy and I've done it where it's really a pain. But there are things out there that are worth it, and making sure that Google Business Profile is set up is worth it. And that is because of reviews.
Yeah.
And people are looking at those online Google reviews. To me, that's more important than the profile itself.
Yep. I agree.
Plus, if you want to show up in a Google search ever, you've got to have those reviews.
Right.
Now, when we talk, this one to me is interesting. This is a spot that I do find myself being influenced, and this should be right in Tanya's wheelhouse. So I'm interested to get your take on this. When you listen to the radio often, like for me, it's sports talk. Okay. Closure. So you get accustomed to hearing this group of people talk, and you kind of start to feel like you know these people.
Right.
Which
They're
is
supposed to be your
weird.
best friend in the car. That's their goal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, based on the things they say over time, you will either respect that person or say that person isn't as good as the other person that's on that show with them. And then you kind of get to a point where you think to yourself, they're doing a spot for something, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Good example of this was I was in the process of selling my parents' home last year, and there was a storm and some trees blew over into the street that they were responsible for, and it was getting close to closing. And the first thing I thought of was one of the radio spots that this person did for a tree service, and I feel like that is a reputable person. So I called the company that he was doing the spot for.
Radio is basically influencer marketing. The way I look at that, though, is you have a business that is creating enough revenue that can pay the influencer, can pay the personality to do that. So it is probably more likely to be more reputable because they do have an advertising budget.
Yeah, and I think the local market is important, right? I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm not an expert on advertising and radio at all, and I think that like I'm thinking about our local East Texas market here. Our county is about 80,000. Our market area across multiple counties, Texas Forest Country. I would say radio listening, local radio listening area, probably 300,000. So it's enough of a population that you're going to have a pretty decent reach, even though it's this large collection of small towns, right? And so I would say radio could be still very, very effective here. And I think that it also depends on, like, obviously certain aspects, like where's your target market? Do you want to hit men, right? Sports radio, not that women don't listen to that. They just don't listen at the same percentage. Or where do you want, what's your target demographic? Who do you want to actually target when it comes to that spend? And I think there's still a place for that, even though it's not something we do, right? It's not our approach. Our approach is more community relations, which we can get into as well, about how do you find an independent agent. I think the combination for us is Google Business Profile, geo search, and combine that with local school event, community relations, sponsorship. Like that's where we spend our quote ad dollars, right? Is we're putting it there. And that's been successful for us. We're in a small enough market that we can get a lot of bang for our buck around community relations. May be a little more difficult in a suburban or metro area to do what we do. And you may need to get, you may have a better penetration there through radio or some other venue.
So just
the
fun
issue with-
fact for you, Shane, you guys are in the Taylor, Longview, Lufkin, Nacogdoches DMA, which is a household, which has 297,000 households.
Yeah. I don't see us in Tyler. I understand that they include that there.
Mhm.
Because of some acquisitions of TV stations and radio stations, but Tyler's 2 hours away, right? Like, I just don't see that as our market. But yeah, I mean, that's a fair number of households. I see us more. I'd be curious to know what that Lufkin Nacogdoches size is. I would say probably about 35 to 40% of that figure would be closer to our households.
But now the one thing you were sort of alluding to it though, as you get into markets that are a little more saturated, there could be competition just to do those community relations things. There could be 3 other agencies that want to sponsor something at the school. That can get more complicated the bigger metro you're in. But just to tie a bow on the radio part, one interesting thing I found mostly in trips to come down and see you because of the 2-hour car ride from the airport, when you listen to the radio through an app, which that percentage is going up and up, the ads actually change. So if I'm in Texas and I'm listening to my local radio station, I get a car dealership in Texas, which I think is interesting.
Yeah. It goes by, I don't know, goes by geography, some kind of I don't know, location services, right? On your phone.
It has to be tied to your phone's location services.
And it also has to do, fun fact, with the talent and where the talent's voice can be used. So same reason if you're watching a ball game on ESPN on the app versus on your television, the commercials are going to be different on the app. And it's because talent expects different amounts of money based on where their voice is being heard.
Can we start referring to ourselves as talent? I kind of like that.
Yeah, we would be called the talent.
The
right?
talent,
we would. That's right.
We have a
That's
producer.
Right.
We have talent.
I've just never really thought of us as talent, but I guess we're going to go ahead and earn that badge, wear that badge of honor. We'll
get a ribbon for that, Mike.
We get a ribbon.
We get a ribbon at conference for this.
Talent. There you go.
Just says the talent.
The talent. We'll have to add that to Julie's list. She will love it. She will be so excited.
We're gonna need to sign us up with an agent and negotiate our terms with ourselves, I guess.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so back to how do people find us as an independent agent? I still believe that referrals and word of mouth are king/queen. I mean, making sure that we empower our customers to tell others about us is the greatest source that we have for new customers. And for some reason, we are scared to ask for that. And I will never understand why. Because if we have just done a really great job for somebody, when we look at them or we're on the phone and we say, hey, I would really love to have more customers that are just like you. That's how it happens. Because you've made them feel special. You've said, just like you, you're who I'm looking for. Please send people to me. Then they know. There are so many times that I have seen clients I've seen clients going, hey, I'm looking for XYZ. And I'm sitting here going, I'm here. I'm here. And they're like, well, oh, I didn't, like I knew that's what you did, but I didn't. You have to ask for that business. You have to ask for those referrals.
So I think this is kind of grounded in us always being in a hurry and worried about our clients always being in a hurry. This is something that I agree wholeheartedly with. Like, we don't ask for the referral enough. Like, we do something that people are pleased with. Like, they're pleased with our service, they're pleased with our customer experience, our process. And I don't mean like we ask for a referral in the email signature. Yeah, we should do that, or ask for the referral on, a follow-up survey or whatever, a rating, rate my service, anything that you would use that you see all the time. That's, of course, ask for the referral digitally. Okay. But I think that we should ask for the referral verbally. We should ask for the referral in a, not an automated email, but, a personal email, if it's got to be that, if you're handling the business without verbal communication in any way. I just think we get so busy personally. I'm just speaking from experience of our people, me personally, and thinking about, not imposing more time on our customer, our new customer. And I think if we would just slow down, like, it doesn't take us 30 seconds. It doesn't take us a minute. Like, when you really break it down, it's like, okay, how much time would it take me to really embed this in my mindset and in the process to personally ask for this new customer to refer someone like them to me? It would not take that long. But we're in such a hurry to hurry up and get it wrapped up. Okay. You'll get the DocuSign, you'll get the e-signature, whatever. And you're trying to get away to the next thing, when the opportunity loss is not actually slowing down, and you might get 4 referrals out of that one person. You don't know. Like, you may not just get one referral. You may get a lot of referrals from that one person. And so I think that's part of the society that where we're at, is we just got to slow down and breathe a little bit and ask that question.
You can also ask for referrals from people that don't buy a policy from you. A lot of times you do a really great job for somebody, but for whatever reason, you're not able to get them what they want, right? Or what they need. It happens. It's okay to ask those people too, because a lot of times people will have enjoyed working with you, even if they didn't buy from you. And those people will send their mama, their grandmama, their aunt, and their sister because of the relationship that you built.
Yeah, I call those individuals blabbers, and I mean that in the most flattering, ultimate way. Like, I really do. Like, I love customers that are blabbers. Like, they're going to tell everybody, right? And then when you identify that person, you want that person, you want to leverage that, right? And not in a fake way, but you want to leverage it. You want to figure out, oh, this person's going to tell a lot of people, right? And you want to take care of them, etc.
Yeah, you don't know who is, the quote unquote mayor of their town.
Right.
They're the person, they have a 50-person supper club that they're a
There
part
you go.
of.
Absolutely.
Listen to you using the word supper. I'm proud of you.
I said supper again the other night.
Who knows who? Yep.
I did.
Talking about that, and I want to go back to something that Mike said when he was talking about radio, and that he felt like he got to know that person as a friend, right? And he trusted them. That is how to use social media for insurance. That is how to use social media for your agency. Facebook recommendations are a thing, especially for younger buyers. But use your Instagram, use your TikTok, use your Facebook, use local community page posts. People are going to buy from people they feel like they know. And strangely enough, people identify and feel like they know influencers. Become an influencer in your space. And I don't necessarily even mean that you have to get on there and do video about insurance all the time, right? But create things, share things that are going on in your life, share tips and tricks and all of the things. Explain the difference in collision insurance and comprehensive insurance and liability insurance, because that is the thing that you understand that 99.9% of your customers don't understand. If you explain little things like that more than once, do it once a month. I'm telling you, if you explain that once a month, you would be shocked how many customers that you're going to get.
And I would say it's important to not just do insurance in these little spots. Like, be authentic.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid that you're going to exclude a certain segment of the population. Just be thinking about including the people that you are going to include when you do one about gardening, if that's what you're into, or baseball, if you have a kid in baseball or whatever.
Yeah.
Just be authentic to who you are, and that can be a real icebreaker for someone who's watching or listening to that.
One of my favorite videos that Shane did several years ago now, when we were first starting to talk about doing video, is he was getting towed. I believe you were getting a tow, and
That's ironic.
it was outside in the rain. And he was like, "Hey, look, this is my roadside assistance. Do you have roadside assistance? Talk with your insurance." I mean, it was just really authentic because he was standing there while his car was getting towed.
Yeah, I remember that video actually. Didn't know what I was doing, but it still worked, right? It was I think that's also, we struggle with just putting ourselves out there. And hey, naturally so, like it's really hard. Like people are going to think I'm stupid, or people are going to think here's the really interesting, I don't know if you'd call this a hot take or what, but insurance agents, right? I think we are afraid to put out the very basic, simple things, like the difference between collision and in a physical damage coverage area, the difference between collision and comprehensive coverage, or technically other than collision, as it is in most states. We are afraid to talk about that because we're afraid what our peers are going to think, not our customers. Like our customers do not know, but our peers know, right? And we're afraid that we're going to get called out by one of our peers for being too simple, or not being risk manager enough or sophisticated enough. And here's the hot take: your customers don't know. Like, be simple. Be simple. Like, dumb it down, because insurance is a contract, and insurance is hard, and the language of insurance is hard. And regulatory bodies have made it even more complicated. Attorneys have made it more complicated, and plain language movement, dumb it down, speak, think about your audience, not your peer group. And that's something that I struggle with at times, even talking with about agency management and agency ownership things, like, what is the consultant over here going to think about me saying, that policy per customer ratio is really important KPI in your agency, or revenue per employee still matters. Like, what are they going to think? And I know way back, before we started podcasting, before we started doing more video, before I talked to people in bigger groups, that was a little bit of a, what are people going to think? Right. And so I think once we get past that and understand that, you know what, the people that I'm actually trying to talk to, they don't know. Like, I'm going to sound like a rocket scientist, simply explaining physical damage coverage in a personal auto policy will make you sound like a rocket scientist, even if your insurance peers think, well, that's dumb. Everybody knows that. No, they don't. They don't know that. And we have that opportunity as independent agencies and the freedom to do it.
So there are 10 triggers that make customers shop for insurance. There are 10. In order, like these are the top 10. And a rate increase or renewal shock, that whole thing. Buying a car, buying a house, starting a business, getting married, adding a teen driver, a frustration with a claim, a bad service experience, moving, changing states, and divorce. Those are the top 10 triggers that make people shop for insurance. Rewind this podcast, write those things down, and those are your 10 things to talk about. Your first 10 things to discuss for 60 seconds of your video. And everybody's getting a rate increase, right? So talk about when you get a rate increase. I'm an independent agent. I can look at this totally different for you than anybody else can. When you're looking for a car. So I never knew that people, when they're shopping for cars, don't call their insurance agent to find out how much insurance is going to be on that car before they buy the car. Because it really made Amy laugh in the Huntington office. I'm like, hey, I'm looking at buying this car. These are all the specs on it. How much is the insurance going to be? And she's like, you haven't bought it yet? And I'm like, well, no, because I need to know if I can afford the insurance on it before I buy it. Like, that's a whole topic.
Yeah.
How many people buy this car and then they have sticker shock on how much the insurance is, right?
What the heck were you shopping for? A Maserati?
But that's the behavior, right? Like the assumptive behavior from us as insurance professionals is people just call and add it to their insurance after they bought the vehicle, right? That is normal consumer behavior in our mind, right? But that isn't always normal consumer behavior, right? Anyway, that's just, I think there's some truth in that. By the way, my number 11 that's not on her list is people who call their agent and get hung up in an AI phone tree.
Black hole.
Yeah, and they end up in a circular phone tree, and it's that's number 11 on it.
Yeah, there we go. That's when you just tell people, hey, when you call my office, somebody's going to pick up the phone. Do you know how many people are going to call specifically because of that, right? Or when they call, you're going to get two options. If you talk to me, you can talk to my assistant. Make it easy for them, right? That's a fantastic topic to do a video on. Yeah. Make it about you, make it authentic. Just sit down and talk.
Maybe it's my age, but I'm actually getting to the point where I don't even want options. I just want someone to pick. If I have gone as far as to call, I just want someone to answer the phone.
Yep.
I don't want to pick 2. I don't want to pick 7. I don't want to listen for 2 through 7. I just give me a person that will tell me, please hold, and I will transfer you to the person you need to talk to.
And that is why when you call Integra, we have, you get a person unless we're in some type of, busy moment. You might get into a temporary wait, but that is why our goal is that you get a person when you call, that you don't get stuck in a phone tree. And our phone tree that we do have as a backup has 3 options. If you are an existing customer, press 1. If you want to become a customer, press 2. Or if you're an agent, press 3. Boom, done. So free information for everyone today. Make your phone tree simple if you have to do a phone tree, and speak plain English in your phone tree.
Yes. And I think insurance agents are starting to try to be fancy. And it
100%.
comes from this thought of Ned Ryerson from Groundhog Day, and this idea of the insurance agent is equivalent to the used car salesman. And when I see these signs, or I hear people say things like, I'm a full service risk management solution for you. People don't know what that means. They don't. Like, I get what you're trying to do. Tell people that you can help them find options for their insurance. You can help them compare options for their insurance. You can help them find what they need, right? But this whole risk management solution, full service, all of this stuff, that sounds really good to you. People have no idea what it means.
We really overthink it a lot. I do think our topic of how do people find us, how do people find an independent agent, I do want to kind of spend, I know we don't have a ton of time left today, but I do want to kind of interject a little bit, because I have to, a little bit of the history here, right? Don't like glossy eye over on me but just
except for Mike, who's looking at the skid.
Stay with me, Mike. Stay off the.
No, I'm here.
All right. So look, I think it matters so that we understand there's no cavalry coming, right? I think I've been speaking a lot over the last several months to a couple of different groups. I've been finding myself talking in certain conference sessions and things like that. And I've kind of circled back around to the story of David and Goliath. And I think it matters here. And we cannot look through the lens of what the big brand carrier, direct to consumer carriers, the big brand, exclusive company carriers, even the independent agent channel, big brand carriers, right? Liberty Mutual has retired Safeco as a brand, and they're all in on Liberty Mutual, and they're still doing their Limu, Emu, and all that. And it's great. Like, it's great brand recognition for that particular carrier, Progressive, et cetera, Geico, et cetera. And so we're never going to compete toe to toe with that. Those are the Goliaths, right? We have to be David. We have to be David in this. And if you're not familiar with the story of David and Goliath in the Bible, it's in Samuel. I think it's 1 Samuel. Anyway, not the best Bible scholar, but it's you can Google David and Goliath and it'll show you the scripture. I just think that we too many times, and this is what triggered this, is something Tanya said, the Ned Ryerson, it triggered it. Like, we so much try to look through that same lens and go compete with Goliath, like toe to toe. Like, that's not going to happen. The industry associations around the IA channel could not figure this out for 50 or 60 years, been working on it. It's not going to happen, right? Nobody's coming, but it can be our strength. Like, I don't want you to hear that and go, oh, well, that's a huge weakness. And no, the captive channel is reducing compensation to pay for this, right? They're putting less emphasis on their distribution channel, their agents, because of how much emphasis they're putting on their ad spend, because of their AI implementation, supposedly, right? Supposedly. We can have another debate about another probably a good session of, is AI just a good excuse for all these layoffs, or is it real? right? And so that's something that's kind of creeping into society as well. I think we can win. I think we are winning by being David, by approaching Goliath with not in a toe-to-toe battle, but in something different, right? In we live in an age where anything's possible, really is. Like technology is so much better, and we can influencer, local community, everything that we've been talking about on this podcast. And I think we have to be Davids. And so don't look at, I think it's a weakness if we look at it and try to beat Goliath at his game. But I think it's a huge strength if we look at it through the lens of David.
I mean, and nobody wants to buy insurance. They don't. Like, we don't have a product that you get to go to the TJ Maxx and you walk out with cute new shoes, right? I mean, like, we don't have a product that people want to pay for. And presenting it in that way is great. I mean, like, look, you have to buy it. You don't want to buy it. Why not buy it from somebody local? Yeah. Because I'm going to be the person that is sponsoring your kid's ball team. I'm going to be the person that sponsors this event at church. Like, presenting yourself as that live local person versus the British lizard. Be, as Mike said, being your authentic self. That's key. Because if you're not visible, people can't find you. So figure out where you want to be visible and do it. I know that that's happened for me locally, even in the last week. I was accepted to the Leadership Pensacola program through the Pensacola Area Chamber. And they made that announcement last week very, very publicly. And I've had more people come to me and ask, okay, so what is the Integra Partner Network here locally that I probably have in the 8 years since I've been here, right? Or what is this? What do you do? People that just really have never even had those kind of interactions with me have seen that announcement from the chamber, right? So yes, you know, the chamber is old fashioned and all such things. And in a lot of places, they're very politically forward, and some of the initial reasons that a chamber exists have evolved. I hear a lot of people say, well, I went to that networking thing from the chamber and didn't get anything out of it. Well, you went to one, what did you do? All of those things. But that visibility after some time really does matter. And it's a very old school way of doing it. But if you do it, people will start to talk to you. People will start to ask.
That's a great point. Nothing we talked about today and nothing that we forgot to cover is a silver bullet. There is nothing you can do that is just, I'm going to do this one thing and I'm going to get 50 prospects out of this. It's always a slow burn. So you have to go into anything you do with that understanding. I've just got to do it. I have to be consistent with whatever it is. And I have to let 6 months, a year go by and then assess where I am.
I love chamber and I love community relations. And I think that obviously we're investing in that heavily. We have a community relations director, and that's something that made the decision to invest in. You can do it yourself, right? But if you're not that person, okay, I believe that every agency owner in this country, or any producer who wants to step out, start their own agency and become an agency owner, you have a circle, right? Like, and I'm going to go back on something Mike brought up. And I think Mike and I have had this conversation. I feel like I've had this conversation with others as well from time to time. There is, on personal lines, this idea of like a niche personal lines marketing effort around a certain occupation of people, or I don't know, like what's coming in my mind is the Hoosman brothers with their classic car marketing, right? They're car guys and they got a YouTube channel and they love everything about cars. If you're a fisherman, I'm thinking about our local market here in East Texas. If you are a fisherman and you have invested in a bass boat, a bass fisherman, and you have one of these bass boats and you go fish in, Saturday morning club tournaments. These are real things. And you have the ability to become the insurance agent for all of those people. That is an influencer opportunity, right? Just because it's not on social media doesn't mean that it's not influencing in some way. I was a travel softball dad for a while, for a long while. I became the insurance guy, right? I didn't actually have to do a whole lot to become the insurance guy because, to Tanya's point, once people figured out that I was in the insurance business, I would get these random insurance questions at an 8 a.m. pool game on Saturday morning after getting up at 5 o'clock to drive for an hour and a half to get to the ball field. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm literally about to answer a question about insurance. It's 8 a.m. I'm just drinking coffee, right? I'm just trying to wake up. And so, I did not catch that. I didn't understand it. But if there is something that you're involved with, and I love the chamber, I love the community relations, but if that's not you, there's something that you are involved with, that your kids are involved with, there's something that you spend a lot of time doing or going to, and there are a group of people right there, right? If it's not like a specific occupation that you want to target for personal lines, then you target where your feet are, right? Think about it that way. Where do I spend most of my weekends? Where do I spend my evenings? And you probably are the influencer, the best potential influencer for that segment, and you don't even know it.
I'm going to leave us today with this quote from one of my favorites, Seth Godin. Marketing is no longer about the stuff you make, but about the stories you tell.
Attitude's a choice. Make a great one.
At the Integra Partner Network, we understand that carrier access is the key to your agency's success. That's why Integra offers direct access to top-rated personal and commercial carriers, ensuring your agency thrives in today's challenging market. And with our comprehensive resources, profit sharing and bonus opportunities, technology and peer support, all while you retain 100% of your book with no penalties to exit. Integra is ready to empower you and your agency to find sustained growth. Find your way to Integra. Visit IntegraPartnerNetwork.com today. That's IntegraPartnerNetwork.com.